Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I'm Tenitra, that is Jarvis, and we appreciate you guys for listening and for viewing our podcast, going to the places wherever you download your podcast and downloading us for free. And not just downloading us for free, but for you guys also giving us 5-star reviews. We appreciate your comments. In fact, if you want to drop some comments into the comment section, go right ahead because we're going to check them out and we might shout you out on the show about some of your good commentary. And I think, Jarvis, with what we're going to approach today, I can see people really dropping their opinions into our comment section about the Falcons. So as you guys know, the Falcons are gearing up in Flowery Branch, getting it going, getting ready for the preseason. Their first preseason game is about 2 weeks away, right? And then at least the away game, then they've got a home game, and then it starts with week 1 against the Saints, right? So
Right.
Jarvis and I, of course, you guys know we've had shows and podcasts together, and oftentimes we'll do like a rapid fire, right? And just kind of listen, 1, 2, 3, go. So that is what we are going to do today. A little bit of projection, right? A little bit of bold predictions and projections about what this season will look like. So, Jarvis, I'm going to throw a question out to you. You answer it. I might co-sign or I might piggyback and go in a different direction, but these are just some things we can play with as we continue on in training camp and in the off season leading to the preseason and to the regular season. So, Jarvis, we have talked over and over again about the offense and the defense and the fact that both of them, for the most part, have nowhere to go but up. So,
Yes.
who, however,
Yes.
is going to climb the ladder and get the highest, maybe in the top 10 as an overall unit at the end of this 2022 season? Your bets on the offense or defense?
Ooh, wow. I'm gonna have to go with the defense because when you think about the pieces that were brought in, right? You talk about a lot of the issues that they had last year. I always refer to Mr. FM. That has changed. He's no longer here, and
Right.
Casey Hayward has taken his place as that backside corner. So that was
Mhm.
a huge issue last year as far as giving up big plays. We know they were at the bottom of the league in that category as well.
Mhm.
So I think that with fixing that issue, and the reason number 2 is they have guys who are capable. Now they have to go out and do it of
Mhm.
rushing the passer. Like they had guys like Steven Means who barely got a pressure last
Mhm.
season. So you have guys like Arnold Ebiketie who you traded up for in the second round. You assume
Yeah.
that he's going to get out there, and you got
Mhm.
guys like DeAngelo Malone who's going to assume that he's going to get home at least a few times this season. And free agent pickup that you brought in, Lorenzo Carter, a guy who had 5 sacks last year in the last
Mhm.
4 games for the New York Giants. I think those are some of the things that you have to take in consideration
Yes.
because those were the big issues.
Right.
Giving up big plays, opposite AJ Terrell, and not getting to the quarterback. And I believe that they addressed those issues, and I think
Mhm.
some of those guys are going to be productive for the Falcons this year, and I think that why I give them the reasoning behind for them to be a top 10 more so than the offense.
Yes, and you got a lot of competition. You got a lot of second-year players, even third-year players, Taquan Graham, Ade Ogundeji, Marlon Davidson, who are really trying to prove something. So I got to agree with you on that one. I think it's going to be the offense. And another reason, Jarvis, is because when 60% of your O-line is still shaky, and it's
Yeah.
not just competition in terms of making each other better, but it's competition in that we don't really know who the heck is going to line up on that O-line in week 1. That tells me that I
Mm-hmm.
might give deference to the defense as well. But we're saying rapid fire, so we're going to move on to, we're going to keep it offense though, and we're going to talk about that guy under center. Now we know for 2022, it can be Desmond Ritter, it can be Marcus Mariota. We don't know. We assume that Mariota is going to at least get the start this season, and we'll see if Ritter actually gets to take the field in the regular season. But how about next season? What's going to determine who the starting quarterback is next season? Is it going to be Mariota showing that he can actually go the distance for the season and be a valuable and reliable pick? Is it going to be Desmond Ritter who breaks out and shows you that what you saw in the offseason, it can translate to a regular season game? Or neither one in 2023 or 2024?
Wow, I will have to go with Desmond Ritter, right? And here's the reason why. I don't think that the Falcons are going to be one and done with
Yeah.
Desmond Ritter. I think he's going to get an opportunity to play this year, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's going to be mostly because of Marcus Mariota never really being able to play a full season, and this was
Yeah.
when it was 16 games. So I'm not when they add another game, I don't think that that's going to make him more viable to play more games. So I think that
Mhm.
he's going to miss some games this year, and I think they're going to get a pretty solid look at what he can potentially do. And I
Sure.
think that that's why I believe that more than likely Desmond Ridder is going to be that guy because Marcus
Mhm.
Mariota also has an option in his
Yeah.
second year with the team,
Yeah.
and then they can they can cut him and not really owe him that much money. So I
Mhm.
think that with that being the case and with that different scenario, and let's not act like Desmond Ridder is a 6th-round pick or a 5th-round pick. Third
Right.
round pick is that's
And the
pretty
second
decent
quarterback
capital. Yeah,
in the draft.
in the draft, yeah. So that's not like we heard like not right before the draft like how much in love that the Falcons had fallen in with Desmond Ridder, and it's not like they just took this guy. Oh, let's just take him and see what's going on. No, they
Mhm.
really like what he brought to the table from a leadership
Yes.
standpoint and being a vocal guy. So
Mhm.
I think this year is going to be the year where he just kind of takes everything in and learns on the fly. And then when he gets his
Mhm.
opportunity, you'll probably see some flashes of what the
Yes.
Falcons see in him. And that's why I believe he'll be the starter for the Falcons in 2023.
Agreed. And I would agree with you as well in that we wouldn't see Marcus Mariota because if there's going to be a quarterback battle, if you will, because maybe Desmond is adequate, but not an average, but not, has given the Falcons the thought that he could be like their franchise QB because they're going to be looking for that because the franchise QB is gone
Mm-hmm.
next year. If CJ Stroud or Bryce Young are within
Ooh.
arm's reach,
Ooh.
they could definitely be there. But I would say Desmond Ridder and Bryce Young, or Desmond Ridder and CJ Stroud before I said Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota next year. So I agree with you as well. Let's go back to defense. Sack leaders. Who is going to get their hand in the dirt and get after the quarterback and put him on the ground? Are you going with old school who might be excited about proving something in Dean Pease defense's second year, Grady Jarrett, or are you going with new school, Lorenzo Carter, meaning new school as in coming down here and reinventing himself, or new school, meaning drafted this year, Arnold Ebiketie or somebody else?
Wow, that's a good question. And a lot of as you were going through the names, I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, that's a
right.
good one. Yeah, that's a good one too. But I think that this is my gut. This is solely my gut, and I think that, and the reason, and I'll explain why I have this feeling. Right, I'm talking about DeAngelo Malone. This is a guy who is going to be put in situations where when he steps on the field, all
Mhm.
he's going to know is go get a quarterback.
Yes.
3rd and long. I think he's going to be a pass rush specialist in his first
Mhm.
year. And I think that Arnold Ebiketie is going to be taking on a little bit more responsibilities from as far as being able to come in to stop the run in early
Mhm.
downs. So he's
Yes.
going to be kind of a little bit more concerned about that. Now, he was brought
Mhm.
here to rush the passer, but I think that
Yeah.
given those extra responsibilities once he steps on the field, I think that's going to kind of rule him out, so to speak.
Yes.
So I'm going with DeAngelo Malone because he's going to be a guy
Mhm.
that says, you know what? All I'm doing is coming in
That's right.
here to kind of sack the
Good
quarterback.
job.
That's all. You got one job. Get to the quarterback, bro. So I think that DeAngelo Malone's going to represent. And plus,
Yeah.
I got a chance to talk to DeAngelo Malone's mom when they had the practice down in Mercedes-Benz. And if he plays anything as like his mom was fired up when they're talking about him playing football for the
Yeah.
hometown team, oh my
Mhm.
goodness, yeah, people going to be in for a treat because I
Yeah.
believe this guy it has a little. It's something about D'Angelo Malone that I really really like, and I think that that's going to kind of carry over to the field once the season gets started.
And I like that pick as well. And you always call him your sleeper. So I kind of knew that you might go with the someone else option.
You know me
But
too well,
there's
T.
something, right? And there's something, this is kind of an offshoot of what you said, but still a valid point. When you do look at what AK or even Ade would bring to the table, my mind also goes to the fact that they are literally, there's an opportunity for really that core because Foyer's gone. So with Foye Aluka, you
Yeah.
lose your tackles leader, and you lose the guy who forced so many fumbles in the run game, and really kept other teams honest in terms of the run game. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. There may be some other opportunities where those guys can really fit in and make a difference. Whereas You have one job, DeAngelo Malone, and that may be
That's
how
it.
he ends up getting the most sacks because, hey, that's what we brought you in for. So I love that pick as well. And then we're going back to offense before we wrap up. And I got to ask, when you think about this, and it's going to be interesting the way you answer it because it depends on how you think Arthur Smith and Dave are going to go in terms of who's going to lead the team from a rushing standpoint. Who is going to tote that ball the most, tote that rock the most this season, and lead this team in carries? Are you going with CP? You going with the new kid, Algier? You going with the veteran who might have to prove himself, Damian Williams? Or I'm going to give you someone else as an option once again. You going with somebody else?
Ooh, wow. I would have to. I mean, my first instinct would say Cordell Patterson, right? But I know that there's going to be some pitch count, a pitch count, so to speak, when it comes to how
Yeah.
he's used, especially if your boy Marquise allows him to return those kicks
Yeah.
this year.
He
And,
wants to
and
hit that record.
we know CP has been politicking, and I
Yeah.
don't even think you call it politicking. Like,
No, he's
hey
made it
man, put
clear.
me back there.
Put
Like,
me in. Yeah.
please,
Coach, put
dude,
me
put
in.
me back there. Coach, put me in. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. I think that's what, and I think Marquise may have to, not bow down to it, but just acquiesce because that's a vet and he's trying to break a record. All-time term touchdowns for special teams. I
Yeah.
think that's something that's cool to kind of go after, and I don't think you should have an issue with somebody who's trying to help the team along with breaking a record. I mean, it's mutually beneficial. So I think that CP will more than likely end up being that lead back and get most of the carries. But I think Tyler Algier is going to be a really close second.
Yeah, and there's room for that because if you look at CP's numbers, 153 carries, 618 yards, and you and I talked about in the Wednesday episode how the Falcons, if they're going to have success this season, one of the keys to it will be getting 1,000-yard rusher. Then
Yeah.
those 153 carries are probably not going to get you to 1,000, but
Right.
they, like you said, if there's a pitch count that keeps you in that range around 160, 175, then somebody else has to bring up the rear, and that probably is going to be Tyler Algier. So good thing. So when we come back, guys, for the culture, we're going to talk a little bit about I'll call him a legend in the making who is still here working with a legend that's on the outside parts, but we still know him because he's still fam to us. We'll talk about how they are making something big happen when we come back. It's For the Culture on ATL Day Ones.